was all of you, meaning that I was on the other side of the desk. And on June 3rd, I bought my first house on a Tuesday. Yay! Of the same week, I got the diagnosis for MS. Ooh. But I'd already had these wonderful plans in the works, and I opened a store 4 months later. So I had a store on U Street, a wonderful house, yes, a wonderful house in Northeast, a 2-bedroom house. It was a lovely thing. I was a real grown-up. Then, though I had the MS for 2 years, God made it so that I was asymptomatic. No symptoms. I was living the life. I was loving it. Then, a month before my store closed, my right eye, I went blind in the side. This arm stopped working, and I suddenly started walking on a cane. But it didn't stop me. I'm a tough broad, so, you know, outside of death, I'm going to make it all the way through. So I closed my store, I went back to my home, and went into a deep depression. Because when you go from being an able-bodied, tax-paying, working person, reaching, and owning a store was my dream, my life's dream. I actually lived it, and now to face this disease that was robbing me of my autonomy, and I am fiercely independent. So there I was in this house I no longer can afford. I didn't mind, the store, I had my 2 years, that was lovely. But, now I had to focus in on my health. Everything spiraled after that. My home was foreclosed on. I lived with friends, and that was like eating ground glass sandwiches, I assure you. Friends are not necessarily the best roommates. And then I was still walking on my cane and doing fine. Then in 2007, I started to feel really dizzy. The next thing you know, I'm in the hospital and I lost my ability to walk. Now I'm really stuck. I no longer have my home. I'm living in a hostile environment, and what am I going to do? Well, I went to NRH, and if anybody knows where National Rehabilitation Hospital, it's a wonderful place. And believe it or not, I've adjusted to everything pretty well. God gives you something, and you've got to make it into something greater. So, as I was at NRH, then suddenly I had to go into a nursing home. I found out like a week before I was going into a nursing home. Now, I had placed my father in a nursing home, so I had a father in New York in a nursing home, and now I'm going to one. I was 46 years old, and that was not on my to-do list. When I got there, I can't even, how do I describe it? When you're 46 and in a nursing home, and fiercely independent, at first I was very resistant and very unhappy. Then 2 months in, my greater nature spoke to me and said, you know what, Melissa? You still have that big mouth, you're still articulate, and you're still fearless. How can you help these seniors? Because if not for them, I would have had all the things that I had. And I realized then that civil rights wasn't necessarily the people who marched. They were the people who put up with things I couldn't even conceive. And now they were sick, and they needed my help. So I became their advocate. In my wheelchair, I would visit them around the day. I eventually became the resident council president, and that's when I learned about advocacy. Both nurses hated to see me come. I would squeal on them. Also, a short time after moving in, that's when I met Marjorie Rifkin. Marjorie Rifkin was this tough little lady talking about, I can go back to the community. That's all I kept thinking about. I'll go back to the community. Yes. But at first, I turned to the nursing home, because they said they would help you. They hand you a listing of various apartments. You have not a clue. You've got to then make the arrangements to get to those apartments. It's not like you are, like you folks can go and you look, apartment hunting or even house hunting is no fun. So now I don't know of my rights as far as being under Medicaid, Medicare. It became a high drama misdemeanor. So at first, I let them help me, allegedly help me for 8 months, and finally I called Marjorie. Wow, wow, wow. Marjorie grabbed that by the bull by the horns, and not only was she my, if not for Marjorie, I'd probably still be sitting there fighting for the seniors. Marjorie took my situation and she introduced me to Money Follows the Person. And I am the first person to receive help from Money Follows the Person. It was a pilot program then. So, you know, their mistakes and their triumphs was started with me. I got back into the community. I've been there almost 3 years. I had an ADA apartment. Marjorie has gone from being my legal advocate to my consigliere. And now she's Aunt Gladys. She's like an overprotective, loving aunt. Are you warm? Are you eating well? You know, so my nickname for her is Aunt Gladys. We happen to live close to each other, and because of her, she inspired me. Ever since I promised myself when I get out of the nursing home, I was working with them, the seniors then, and then to come and speak on behalf of people who have disability. I'm the perfect candidate. God knew what he was doing. Now, having MS is no fun to that. But a person like me, I'm the perfect person to speak up with those with disability, speak up with those who don't feel empowered, because I'm very empowered. I don't even have one at my own funeral, trust me. You know, and as long as she needs my help, or the MS Society needs my help, or anyone with disabilities needs my help, I'll be there. So that's the story. I'm sticking to it.